Merlin's Dragon is the story of my most unlikely hero ever. And also, by the way, the most unusual dragon you've ever met. This is the tiniest creature in all of Merlin's worlds. He is chased, stepped on, everybody wants to eat him. It's a humiliating, really difficult life. And every day if he survives, he comes home just wondering how he's going to make it through the next day. But this little fellow is also the one creature who has a chance to save the life of the great wizard Merlin. And he doesn't know how he's going to do it. He just knows he needs to try. So I guess you could say that little Basil, who's as small as your baby finger, has something very big down inside. So here's what happens. When a terrible magic-devouring creature called a Krelix is battling with Merlin, he can't use his magic because if he does, the creature will suck it right out of him. There's no way he's going to win unless something happens. Basil is in a branch of a tree just above them as they're fighting, and Merlin is at the edge of death. This is what happens. Gathering all his strength, Basil dashed a few steps farther out on the branch. Then, without a second's hesitation, he leaped. Through the air he plunged, right into the mouth of the monster. He tumbled between two of the deadly fangs, just missing their gleaming tips by a hair's breadth. As light as a twig, he landed on top of the Krelix's blood-red tongue. And then he did something no twig could have done. He bit that tongue hard. Clamping his slim little jaws on the soft flesh, he squeezed with all of his might so ferociously that one of his tiny front teeth cracked and broke off. A new shriek erupted from the Krelix. The noise, for Basil, was deafening, echoing all around him in the cavernous mouth. But he barely noticed, since he needed all of his concentration to stay focused on his one goal, hanging on. The Krelix writhed and shook his head madly, all the while it continued to screech and also to wag its tongue, bashing Basil against the roof of its mouth again and again. Soon he felt dizzy as well as nauseous from the overpowering stench of the Krelix's breath, something like curdled vomit. Still, he hung on. Biting with every last morsel of strength, he endured the shrieks in his ears and the assaults on his body. His shoulders and back stung with excruciating pain. The smell made him gag. His jaws felt ready to explode. And still, he hung on. He didn't notice the blood pouring down from his broken tooth, nor the fact that he could no longer hold his wounded wing against his back. The wing, now just a mass of broken bones and ripped flesh, slapped lifelessly whenever the beast's tongue moved. And still, Basil hung on. Darkness seeped into his mind like poison polluting a stream. He began to lose awareness of where he was and why. He even forgot, as the darkness stifled his thoughts, what had caused him to sacrifice his one little life. At last, the darkness overwhelmed him completely. His battered body finally relaxed and slumped lifelessly in the mouth of the Krelix. Even then, however, some of his muscles remained rigid, so firmly fixed, no force in all of Avalon could possibly budge them. His jaws still held tightly to the monster's tongue. What happens next? You'll have to read the next chapter to find out.